Hello, fourth period. Happy Wednesday. I have Sophie with me here today. Sophie, you want to say hi to my friends?
Hi.
Okay, so where we left off, the doctor and Molly and Kip are going to try to catch the Nightman. So chapter 36 is called Traps, and your story is going to be a little bit shorter today because right now I'm reading 4 different times because every class was in a different spot. But I'm going to get you caught up to where 7th period is, and they're not super far ahead. And then I'm going to stop. So tomorrow, 4th period and 7th period will be in the same spot, and I'll only have to read 3 different times. So yours won't be quite as long today, but I'll read longer tomorrow. Okay, traps. Kip dragged his rake back, pulling dead leaves from the gardener's hole. But what good can a doctor do? He glanced at Molly, who was sitting beneath a tree on her overturned bucket. Doctors know all sorts of special science tricks. On her lap lay a tattered old net that had been left in Galileo's cart, which she was now mending. He has probably got ways to trap the gardener with a mirror or stuff in a bottle. Kip wiped his brow. I didn't think that's how science works. He had spoken to the doctor twice now and did not share his sister's high opinion. Dr. Crouch was the sort who needed to be right about everything. You could tell him his head was on fire and he'd tell you why you were wrong, even as he burned. Besides, he hopped closer. You told me he didn't even believe you. He just thinks it's some kind of animal. We don't need him to believe us, she said. We just need him to help. What are you two talking about? Penny called, leaping up from behind a hill. And what's the net for? She was occupying herself with a game that seemed to involve jumping over the grassy mounds. Kip had thought it looked like a fun thing to do, not that he would ever be able to do it. Go back to playing, Kip said. He hopped toward Molly, her voice low. I think it's a mistake that we're doing what we're doing here. I think we should keep as far from that gardener as slugs from salt. Molly laughed. Slugs? Just what every girl wants to be called. Kip didn't smile, which seemed to annoy her. Kip, I know it's tall odds, but if this works, the gardener will be gone. We'll be safe. And if it don't work, he said, he'll be mad and we'll be... He shook his head, unsure of what exactly might happen. He knew in his bones that it would be bad. Bad like what had happened to Master Windsor's parents all those years back. I hear you whispering over there. Penny took a running jump over a hill. Are you talking about the Nightman? Kip and Molly both snapped. No! This, at least, they seemed to agree on. Penny made a sour face and went back to her game. Kip leaned on his crutch, massaging his left leg. It was throbbing at the knee. Throbbing everywhere, really. His mind went to the story that Hester had told them in the village. He thought of the house and the tree and what he had found in the room in the little green door, and wondered once again how much Molly truly knew about this place. He watched her tie 2 pieces of rope together, going over and then through, the way their father had taught them. It's been a while since we heard from Ma and Dad, he said. You think they're all right? Molly's hand slowed. I'm sure they're fine. She untied her knot and started over. Kip hopped closer, watching her expression. Something was obviously wrong. Maybe you could read us an old letter, just to pass the time. Molly shook her head, not looking up. I didn't got 'em with me. They were getting crumbled in my apron, so I put 'em somewhere safe. She held up the net. Besides, we got work to do. Doctor's orders. Kip felt his throat tighten. Doctor's orders, he muttered. Why couldn't Molly just be honest with him and say she was scared of the gardener? Why did she hide behind smiles and stories? But Kip knew why. It was because she thought he was too small, too frail. And wasn't he? He watched Penny jumping between the hills with abandon. What he would give to be whole like that. What he would give to swim and jump and run and play like a normal boy. Kip gripped his rake and went back to work. Dr. Crouch had instructed him to clear the air around the tree for their trap. Ever since his ordeal with the roots, Kip had been careful not to walk too close to the tree or the hole. Until now, the hole had remained undisturbed beneath a blanket of leaves. He cleared the bottom and was surprised to see that it wasn't any deeper than before. He had several nights since heard the night gardener digging in the darkness, but the hole looked untouched. Kip hobbled away from the hole to clear a pile of leaves nearby. He balanced himself on one leg and gripped the rake with both hands. "Any last words?" he said. He brought the rake down like an executioner. The iron tongs sliced right through the pile and kept going. Kip had been expecting to hit hard dirt, and when he did not, the surprise caught him off balance. He fell to the ground, landing hard on his shoulder. "I'm fine," he called to Molly before she could offer help. Kip stood breathing hard. His shoulder was throbbing, and it hurt to hold the rake in his hand. He hopped closer to the spot and using just one hand, raked back the edge of the pile. Where he should have found dirt or grass, he saw only more leaves. Kip flipped his rake around and pushed the long handle into the spot. It sank deep into the leaves. Another hole. "I think you should see this," he called to Molly, "and watch your step." Kip and his sister spent the next half hour clearing the area around the tree. What had started as 2 holes had now become 6, all in a row. They were a familiar size, but for length, which ran from short to long. The hole closest to the house had been the size of a grown man. The hole at the other end was about the size of a little girl. Uh-oh. So there are 6 holes, all different lengths. And how many people live in the house? 6. That's right, Sophie. So this isn't looking very good. A breeze stirred the hairs along Kip's neck. He looked back over his shoulder at the lawn where Penny was playing. Little green hills rose and fell as far as he could see, each of them about the length of a body. "Malls, I don't think those are just hills," he said, staring at the rolling mounds, more than he could count. He felt Molly's hand wrap around his own. Her skin was clammy with perspiration. "The whole place," she whispered. "It's one giant graveyard." "Nah," Kip swallowed, peering back at the tree. "It's one giant trap." "What's all that behind you?" called Penny, who had seen them looking in her direction. She skipped toward them. "Are you making a fort?" "Stay back," Kip called. He hopped in front of the smallest grave, blocking her path. "Penny," Molly said, her voice sweet but tense, "could you go back inside and check on your mom's hot water? And tell the doctor we're almost finished. He'll know what that means." Penny stared at them for a moment, no doubt suspecting that she was being left out of something very interesting. "Fine," she said, and marched toward the house. "That was close," Kip said when the girl had finally disappeared through the front door. He looked up at his sister, who was still staring at the expanse of graves. "You were right," she said. "I shouldn't have brought us here." Kip stared at her pale face. Her once green eyes were now almost black. He seemed to tell her that he understood, that he knew why she hadn't listened to him. He winced, feeling an ache in his left leg. "Come on," he said, turning around. He brought up some phlegm from his throat and spit it into the grave at his feet, the one meant for him. "We got a monster to catch." So chapter 37 is called Camera Obscura, and that is where I will start tomorrow. I hope you have a great day. Sophie, do you want to say bye?
Bye.